For as long as I can remember, my family has had this tradition. Every fall, we'd go to this big corn maze on the outskirts of town. It wasn't anything fancy, just a huge field with towering stalks of corn that you could easily get lost in, but it was something I always looked forward to. I think it's because my parents made it feel like a big adventure. Every year, we'd wander through the maze together, laughing, getting a little lost, and eventually finding our way out to the pumpkin patch on the other side. This year, though, things were different. I had just turned 13, and I guess my parents decided I was finally old enough to do the maze on my own. I'd been asking to go through it by myself for years, but they'd always said no. Too dangerous, too easy to get lost. But this time they handed me the ticket, gave me a map, and said, "Go for it." I couldn't believe it. I felt like I'd been given some kind of freedom I'd been waiting my whole life for. So there I was, standing at the entrance to the maze, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. The stalks of corn towered over me, swaying gently in the breeze, the golden hues of fall stretching out as far as I could see. The maze was packed with other people, families, kids my age, even a few groups of teenagers daring each other to go deeper into the maze. It seemed harmless, fun even. I waved to my parents as they sat down at one of the picnic tables near the entrance. Then I took a deep breath and stepped into the maze. It didn't take long for the noises of the crowd to fade, replaced by the rustling of the corn stalks and the crunch of leaves underfoot. I started off confidently, glancing at the map every now and then, but mostly just exploring. It was kind of peaceful in there, just me, the corn, and the distant sounds of other people laughing and talking as they navigated their way through the maze. At first, I loved it. There was something about being alone in this huge, winding maze that made me feel independent. I turned left, then right, then left again, not really paying attention to where I was going. I figured it would be easy enough to find my way out later. But then the weather started to change. It was subtle at first. The sun dipped behind a cloud and the temperature dropped a little. No big deal. But then the wind picked up and the sky started to turn this weird, dark gray color. The breeze rustling the corn turned into gusts, and before I knew it, the maze felt a lot less inviting. I glanced up at the sky, frowning. The forecast had said it would be clear all day. There hadn't been any mention of storms. But there I was, standing in the middle of a cornfield with the sky growing darker by the minute. I pulled out the map and tried to figure out where I was. But for some reason, it didn't make any sense. I thought I'd been keeping track of my turns, but when I looked at the map, nothing seemed to match up. I felt a little pang of anxiety, but I told myself it was just part of the fun. Getting a little lost was all part of the maze experience, right? I kept walking, trying to stay calm. But then the wind started howling. The corn stalks bent and swayed wildly, their sharp leaves slapping against each other like they were alive. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. That's when I heard it. A rustling sound, but not from the wind. It was different, like something moving, something big. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart pounding in my chest. I strained to listen, but the wind was so loud it was hard to tell where the sound was coming from. I took a step forward, trying to shake off the feeling that I was being watched, but the rustling sound followed me. I turned around, expecting to see someone, another kid maybe, but there was nothing, just rows and rows of corn. I took a deep breath and kept walking. But the further I went, the worse it got. The wind was practically screaming now. The sky was an angry shade of gray and the air felt thick, like something was about to happen. I picked up the pace, my heart racing faster with every step. I just needed to get out of there. But every turn I made seemed to lead me deeper into the maze. I couldn't hear the other families anymore, couldn't see any of the landmarks on the map. It was like the maze had changed around me. Then, out of nowhere, I saw it. Up ahead, standing in the middle of one of the narrow paths, was a scarecrow. I hadn't noticed it before. Maybe it had always been there, and I just missed it. But something about it felt wrong. It wasn't like the other scarecrows I'd seen earlier in the maze. It was taller, more twisted, its clothes torn and dirty. Its head was a burlap sack, stitched together with black thread, and its eyes were just dark, empty holes. I stood frozen, staring at it, my heart hammering in my chest. It was just a scarecrow, right? Just a decoration. But then the wind died down for a second and everything went still. And that's when the scarecrow moved. I didn't see it at first. It was subtle, like a twitch of the arm, but then it jerked, its whole body shifting on the post it was tied to. I took a step back, my mouth dry. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be happening. I must have been imagining it, right? But then it happened again, this time more deliberate. The scarecrow's head slowly turned toward me, its black, empty eyes staring straight into mine. And then, with a horrifying creaking sound, it broke free from the post. I didn't wait to see what it would do next. I turned and ran, my feet pounding against the dirt as I tore through the maze. I could hear it behind me, the scarecrow's footsteps heavy and slow, but it was coming. I could feel it. I didn't dare look back. I just ran, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The maze twisted and turned, but I wasn't thinking anymore. I was just running, desperate to get away. The wind was howling again, the corn stalks whipping around me, and all I could think about was finding the exit. But no matter how fast I ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was out there with me. I could hear it now, something snarling in the distance. It wasn't the scarecrow. This was something different, something bigger. I pushed myself harder, the muscles in my legs burning as I sprinted down another path. But every turn led to more corn, more dead ends. I was trapped, lost. And that's when I heard the growl. It was low and guttural, coming from somewhere deep in the maze. My heart stopped. I glanced around trying to figure out where it was coming from, but the corn was so thick I couldn't see anything. I took a shaky breath trying to calm myself down, but then the growl came again, closer this time. I did the only thing I could think of. I screamed, loud and desperate, hoping someone would hear me, hoping someone would come to help. But no one came. The growling grew louder, and I knew, whatever it was coming for me. My mind went blank with fear, and I did something I hadn't done since I was little. I ran straight through the corn. I didn't care about the path anymore. I just needed to get out. I plowed through the stalks, my arms and face getting scratched and cut by the sharp leaves, but I didn't stop. I just kept going, crashing through the corn, blind to everything except the need to escape. I could still hear it, the growling, the footsteps, the rustling, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just ran, forcing my way through the endless sea of corn, my chest burning, my legs aching. Finally, after what felt like hours, I broke through. I stumbled out of the maze, gasping for breath, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I collapsed onto the ground, my legs shaking, tears streaming down my face. I could still hear the wind howling through the corn, but I didn't care anymore. I was out. I was safe. After a few minutes, I managed to pull myself together and look around. The picnic area was just a few feet away, where my parents had been sitting when I first entered the maze. They weren't there. No one was. The place was empty. I sat there for what felt like forever, trying to catch my breath, trying to make sense of what had just happened. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me out. I haven't been back to that maze since. I don't think I ever will. Some places are meant to be explored with someone by your side, and sometimes a maze is more than just a game.